These are my new sneakers, and this is my hotel, and this is my car, and I'm about to leave. The town is called Roseland, Indiana. Today is Friday, so I left Canada Thursday, drove 2 hours to the border, and I was a bit concerned. I'll be honest with you, because I've been dealing with US Customs for the past 17 years. I know what they're looking for, and they really don't like it when somebody shows up at the border with a car full of possessions, right? So, like, I sold the truck, I sold the trailer, my car has all my belongings, and I'm entering US. You know, like, their mindset is, they would say, like, how do we know that you're not just trying to, you know, be another illegal immigrant here, right? Like, where's the guarantee you're gonna leave US? But lucky for me, I got a reasonable customs officer, good-looking female officer, and I was worried about this, right? And my advice has always been, always be honest, never lie. You know, you have to tell the truth, because if you lie, they look you in the eye, they know you lie. And so that's the truth. The truth is, I'm entering US. I go to Buffalo FedEx Customer Center to pick up a lens, and then I drive across the country 2,200 miles, and I spent 2 days or 3 days at Yellowstone National Park, and I exit US 8 days later via Sweetgrass, Montana. And a couple of times in the past, when you run into some real, you know, picky officer, they would ask for itinerary. And so yesterday, like the day before yesterday, I printed an itinerary: name, address, phone number, date, itinerary. Stop 1, Buffalo FedEx Customer Center. Stop 2, Yellowstone National Park. Stop 3, Sweetgrass, Montana. And I put dates, like when I'm gonna be there. And then at the bottom, length of stay in US, in caps, 8 days. 8 days. And so I'm all ready. I got my passport, so I pull up to the booth and give my passport with that piece of paper, and the lady opens it, and I see kind of like an amused look on her face. And the thing with customs officers is the same as with cops, right? Like, one guy would, you know, give you one direction, you have to do this, then the other guy said, what, he said that? Ah, he's an idiot, you know? So so there's a very big variance between what you expected to do, you know? And so she looks at my sheet of paper and she says, who told you to do this? I said, it was requested. Oh, and then another tip, of course, you gotta give very brief answers. Don't elaborate, only answer the question, right? Yes, no, as short as possible. So I said, I don't know, it occurred to me, I said, it was requested. And she's like, we don't usually need this. And she says, how often do you cross the border here? When was the last time you crossed the border? I said, 2 days ago, you know, when I was going to to pick up the camera, the D6, right? Not 2 days, but like a few days ago. And I said, I cross here all the time, I'm a trucker, right? And she looks, because of course she can see on her computer like multiple crossings, like over the past 17 years, you know. So at least, you see, that's why she didn't push me too bad, because they saw that I have a history of returning from US, right? I'm not the guy that will just disappear into Florida, you know, Everglades. They see the guy goes in, comes out, goes in, comes out, right? Because they share the data with Canadian Customs. Like, they know when I went in. Of course, they don't know when I went out, because then I don't stop on the US side, right? I go straight to Canadian side. But they share the data. I found this. Like, once I talked to a Canadian guy, and he asked me, how long in the States? And I said, well, I think it was either a week or a week and a half. And guess what? 2 seconds later, he pulls up my record from American side, because, you know, let's say I entered Port Huron, right? So Canadian Customs did not know when I crossed, but Americans, right? I talked to the American officer in Port Huron, and then let's say now I'm in crossing into Thunder Bay, let's say, and Canadian guy can see the American data, you know, so they share the data, so they can easily check if you're lying. They can check when you went in, when you left, you know. It's like it's one big system, so it was pretty cool. So she let me go, and so I drove like a maniac. No e-log this time, you know, legal 9 miles above the speed limit. And what's cool is that I went on the toll 80. I went from Buffalo, right? I picked up my lens and I went on 90 and then toll 80, and the speed limit is 70. So 79 was pretty safe. So so 200 kilometers or 120 miles to Buffalo, and then it was 750 kilometers or 450 miles, I'm guessing. So I did so much driving yesterday. I never did so much in my truck, but I booked this hotel and I had to get here, you know. And when I was leaving in Buffalo, I'm like, wait a second, it's already 2 o'clock and I still have 750 kilometers to go. And then I went to that seafood restaurant right on the other side of FedEx on Walden Avenue. And, you know, I had a problem. Like, I bought some sneakers, some cheap sneakers. Well, not the cheapest one. The cheapest are like 20 bucks at Walmart Canadian, but the ones I got were like $49.99, you know, like mid-range, which is probably like 35 bucks US. But they had this stupid Dr. Schultz, you know, they had this artificial leather material, right? And it was so rough. So when you walk, you know, when your toes are, it creates all these folds, multiple folds, right? And the folds are so deep that they were hurting my toes, you know. Like, I started limping. Like, the left, for some reason, the left foot was okay, but the right foot, it was really, you know, rubbing me like raw there. And I'm like, that's it, I'm throwing these out. And then I bought some custom insoles, thinking maybe they're just too big for me, you know. And I put those in, helped a little bit, but not too much. And so I'm thinking, I need new sneakers. Like, how am I supposed to walk in the wildlife park, Yellowstone and stuff like that, if I cannot walk, you know? And so right next to that restaurant, I see something like with feet in the sign, you know. I go in, and it's one of those places where they, you know, where you have an issue with your foot, and they give you custom insoles, right? Like orthopedic. You know, shoes. But I said, hey, oh, I don't need this. I said, do you have any regular sneakers? And she says, yeah. But this lady, she was so good, you know. I said, I don't understand. I said, I used to buy like 11.5 size. Now I bought these 12, and of course they feel too big, but they're hurting my foot, you know. Like, I need new. Can you help me find some shoes, you know? But these ladies, I'm telling you, like this lady. So first she says, okay, let's measure your foot. And she has this, you know, the device, and she says 12.5. And I'm like, wait, what? How can it be 12.5? I said, it was always 11.5. And she looked at me, she said, well, when we get older, our feet get bigger. That was the news flash of the day. I said, why nobody told me this? Because I was wondering, why am I buying like 12 foot, and now the waterproof boots, I got the 13, and they're just a little bit too big. But I'm, you know, because they're kind of like winter boots, I can put a couple of socks in, and so that's why. Turns out our feet get bigger when we get older. So I'm gonna leave you with that thought, and I'll talk more about this, but let me just start driving. But I want to stop this AutoZone or something. I need to buy sandpaper. I have 3,000 sandpaper. I need 5,000 because I still haven't fixed this 4 tiny scratches, but I got everything. Oh, and I got this the other day, so I can put some soapy water in, right? I have some towels, I have sandpaper, I have polish, and I have wax. And I watched that video I found like 10 times, so I know how to fix this. And I have the tape, because the guy says you have to tape off the area so that you don't lose it. So there's one here, and there's like 3 or 4 in here, right in this area. And then yeah, I didn't see any Chrysler dealers. Well, yesterday I was driving like a maniac, like I said. I hope they don't put me in prison because I had no e-log. I don't know, is it okay if you drive without an e-log? Well, we'll know for sure if somebody from the FMCSA will watch this video. And yes, this is the vehicle I was driving in. And I was just about to hit the ramp for I-80. My hotel is over there. And I saw this Marathon, and driving by I could see they have 93. And you know, I have a tune on my car. So I'm not supposed to put anything below 93 because I have a specialized tune. And I know that area where I go, Yellowstone, they don't have much of this gas, and so I got some octane boosters. I bought a bunch of like 4 or 6 little bottles of octane boosters. And to give you guys an idea, so premium was $4.59.93 was $4.59 a gallon, and 89 was $4.19, and 87 was $3.89, which to me is like amazing, because $3.89, there's 3.78 liters in a gallon. So 87 gas is pretty much like $1 per liter. Wait, $1? Yeah, because there's so you get 1 gallon, so you get like 3.7 liters. Yeah, it's like $1 US per gallon, which is like $1.30 Canadian. Like, whereas in Canada it's like $1.85, $1.90. It's like unbelievable. And this one, $4.59. I don't care. I like the car drives so much better with this gas, because you know it's tuned for this, right? So now we're just gonna show you some funky driving. So we are in Roseland, Indiana. Just leaving Roseland, Indiana. And so that's what I gotta do today. 789 kilometers.
In 150 meters, turn right onto the I-80 West, I-90 West ramp. Turn right onto the I-80 West ramp.
So 700, so pretty much like 800 kilometers, which is 500 miles. But in a car, man, it's so much easier than in a truck. I really enjoyed it. You know, I was very tired by the end of the day yesterday because traffic was bad around Cleveland. I hate that town, Cleveland, Ohio. You know, that's why I was always joking, you know. Like I'm selling something, I say, okay, free delivery anywhere in US.
In 600 meters, keep left at the fork. Follow signs for I-90 West, I-80 West.
Free delivery anywhere in US except Cleveland, Ohio. All right, so we're entering. Yeah, they don't like it when you drive fast over here. I remember once I got a notice from New York because the speed limit at the toll booth was like,
keep left at the fork.
I don't know, 10 miles an hour. Keep left, all right, keep left. We're going towards Chicago, yeah. To give you the taste of my engine sound. And we are in the sport mode. switch to miles, 79 is where it's at, so 9 miles above. Speed limit for cars 70. So we're pretty much all legal. So 79 miles per hour is 127 clicks an hour. And that's how I pretty much drove all day yesterday. So now it's going to be a long, exciting drive. But I'm very close to Chicago, right? Roseland. I'm like probably, I don't know, 30 miles away from Indiana border. And one thing that surprised me yesterday, I'm driving like trucks, right? With this cost of fuel so high, but a lot of trucks were driving like 70, 75 miles per hour. You know, like what? I'm driving and the guy is gaining on me. So like, look at this guy in front of me. Like I'm doing 79. Check this out. I'm barely approaching the truck in front of me. I don't know how can you make money like that, you know? So that guy is driving 75 miles per hour because I'm gaining but very slowly, and I'm 79. So, and that's why there's so many, you know, people that go broke. Of course it's a dry van, but still, I don't understand this. And then the next thing I don't understand is people driving next to trucks. Like this guy, the pickup truck, just would sit right next to the big semi truck and not increase speed, not drop speed, but just drive right next to it because he's afraid to pass. Mama, it's a big truck. Come on, Michigan. I guess we'll have to edit part of this video. So anyway, now I'm finally, you know, once I'm so far from Ontario already, right? Well, not that far, but it feels, you know, I'm in a different country, everything is different. I left, it just, yeah, one guy left a comment and it's really hit me, like he says, wait, he left Cambridge for good. And I just realized that I did. Well, at least that's the plan, right? So I'm moving to Calgary. I'm moving to Alberta, boys and girls. I hated that province back in the day. Actually, no, you know what? Back in 95, 96, right? When I was getting ready to leave Russia, right? And I never had that plan, but then I ran into these two crazy sisters. And one of them worked for a travel agency for like English, Britain, based in Britain, travel agency. And so I was a real estate broker, right? I was leasing office space, making good money back then. It was easy. I spoke English, so all my customers in Moscow were expats, you know, opening representation offices. And I would make like 10, 20 grand from a deal, you know. It was cool. So maybe I should go back into real estate, but I don't know. But anyway, so this girl shows up because her boss didn't want to go. He sent her first to view the property that I was offering them, right? And it's a Russian girl, pretty, and she works for, you know, she's a tour operator. And we start chatting. She speaks English, but of course we're Russians, so we speak Russian. And then she asked me this simple question: why are you still here? Like, what do you mean? Well, she says, why haven't you left? She says, me and my sister, we're getting ready to go to Canada. I said, Canada? what would I do in Canada? Be a waiter or busboy or something? Because, you know, in a foreign country, like, you know, you have to start from scratch, right? Like here, I was an independent broker, you know, driving a fancy Lada 2106 that I purchased for cash, $6,500 US. I still remember. And my clients were very excited. One of them said, they still make, I said, I just bought this new, you know, said 6 months ago. And the guy was like, wait, they still make these like this? I said, yes, sir. It's a very popular car. So the guy really, the guy really liked, you know, being a passenger in my Lada because it was like Fiat from 50s, right? And Americans dig, well, this guy was, he actually was from Israel, but he worked for Herbalife. And Herbalife was, where they hired me to find them an office, right? And so this guy, I took him to view a bunch of properties, but anyway, so yeah, this girl says, well, we're moving to Canada, so you want to go with us? But then I understood later, basically, they did speak English, but the English was not at my level. Like, no, I don't have any, you know, I'm not shy about that. Like, you know, my English, I was so focused on learning English when I was in Russia. I was like crazy, focused, laser focused. I want to speak English, and I do have some, you know, abilities, right? I can imitate sounds, even though people tell me I still have a slight accent, which gets worse when I get tired. But so the English was not good enough because you have to fill out a bunch of forms in English, right? And so they just pretty much wanted my help, you know, and it's okay. So I helped them, they helped me, you know, and that's how I ended up in Canada. Oh, and so when I was doing research, what I started saying, like what to do, right? Okay, I was in real estate over there. I was thinking, well, the logical step would be to become a real estate agent, as I learned, right? You cannot be a broker, you have to be an agent first for somebody. And I remember I was talking to a guy from Alberta, you know, like I can talk to people, right? So I found online, I found a broker, a real estate broker in Alberta, Canada, and I was asking him questions, you know, like, is this better, Alberta or Ontario? So there was pretty much my choice was either Ontario because they have more jobs in there, or Alberta because it's a much more dynamic, you know, environment, lots of work, lots of jobs as well. But of course the population is much smaller, so I was thinking Alberta might be more difficult to settle down and get an income going, you know. But this guy was telling me, man, he says, I love it. He says, come to Alberta, you know, the real estate market back then, he says, it was very good. And so that I was thinking that. But, you know, then I started going as a trucker, like northern Alberta, and there's a lot of dirt. All trucks are dirty because there's dust everywhere. There's constant construction. It's like one big construction site, right? That's what I didn't like. But then last year, right, I went to Calgary. Well, I went through Calgary and I went to the parks, to the Banff, and you know that Lake Louise over there to the west, and it's like amazing, you know. So I like Calgary because it's a nice modern town, right? That's where they had the Olympic Games, and you're so close to this natural beauty, you know, of all these parks and mountains. And then Yellowstone, to give you an example, is just 500 miles south. So just one day of driving and you're in Yellowstone. And then of course you have Montana, my favorite state. Like I always say, like if I had to pick one state, but not in winter but in the summer, I would say Montana. It's so beautiful. Again, mountains, lakes, animals, and it's Montana is right there, right under Alberta, right? So you can always go on a road trip, you know. Whereas Ontario, there's nothing there, right? There's just lakes and plains, and to see some animals you have to drive north maybe 4 hours. I never been there actually. People say it's a good park. There's a huge almost kind of like a Yellowstone, only a bit smaller, but we have this park 4 hours north of Toronto called Algonquin National Park, and they have the same deal, like you can see bears, wolves, deer, moose, elk, you know, all this stuff. But I think Yellowstone is better because there's a more variety of wildlife over there. But I mean, that's why I kind of like, I was looking at like Thunder Bay because it's also in the middle of wildlife, you know, habitat, so to speak. But real estate prices over there are still crazy, right? It's still Ontario, even so far from Toronto, but Thunder Bay, like very end of Ontario, it's still, you know, $400,000-500,000, you know, $1 million Canadian. Whereas here, I could get a small apartment for what I've seen, anywhere from 140 Canadian to 200 Canadian. Okay, it's a condo, right? I never wanted to buy another condo, but I told the real estate guy, I said, can you just line me up a few properties? I'm gonna be in Alberta probably first week of October. And he said, well, what are you looking for? I said, yeah, I don't want an old building. I said, I'm okay with a small property like bachelor's, 1 bedroom, or even a studio, as long as the building is newish, like at least, I don't know, 2005, 2008, you know, because they do have a lot of those very old buildings, kind of like what I used to own, like an apartment in a building like that. It was 1977 building. And what you gotta be careful with when it's an old building, first off, the monthly fees can match the mortgage. Like I remember my mortgage was like $350 a month, and my condo monthly fees were $450. And then every summer they demanded $2,000 from us, from each apartment. Like at least I had to pay $2,000. If somebody had a bigger apartment, they had to pay more, right? And that's the issue. If the building is old and they haven't maintained it properly and they don't have enough reserves, then they'll start doing this stuff. Like when they say, okay, this year we're renovating all balconies on the north side, so each apartment has to come up with $100 per square foot of your space. So if you have 100, no, well, you know, probably they're not gonna ask that much, but they can ask for $2 or $3 grand, and you cannot say no, because that's, if you say no, that's kind of like as if you failed to pay your mortgage, because this was passed by the condo council or whatever it's called, right? And that's why it's very important. Like ideally I would want to live in a townhouse, and actually I did see one townhouse. I think it was like 175,000 Canadian, but again, it was a condo, but at least, you know, it's a nice, you have a 2 stories, right? You have it had a living room on the first floor, and then you had the bedroom on the second floor, you know. But anyway, so yeah, I'm getting excited because I see there's much more opportunities over there for me to get something than in Ontario. And as far as job is concerned, some people were leaving some nasty comments. I don't know which side you guys are on. You're on my side or you're on the bank side? Technically, I'm still a trucker, right? My MC number is active. My CVR number is active. I sold the truck. I sold the trailer. Who the heck knows? My business is registered. Like I just registered a month ago. For 5 years, I got the sole proprietorship, Sergei, Dratchev, heavy haul. Everything is registered. Everything is. My last load was September 1st, right, when I delivered that big crane in downtown Toronto. So I don't see a problem. And all my debts are paid off. I have I gotta pay off a couple of bucks on the Visa since I purchased all these cameras and stuff like that. But I'm in a very good financial position now, like for the first time, I don't know, in 17 years. I don't have a lot of money, And now, of course, you know, one problem that worries me is income tax in 1 year. Because I'm a sole proprietor, I had to declare all the profit I got from the sale of the truck and the sale of the trailer, and that put my overall gross revenue for this year, for 22, at a pretty high level, right? And since I'm paying the taxes as an individual, it's not gonna be pretty. But at least the good thing is that I have to file this in 23, right? So we'll see. Well, I made it to Illinois. This is I-80. I'm just about to jump on I-294 because Albert Lee is northwest, right? So I don't need I-80, which goes to Iowa. I need 294, which goes like this towards Rockford, Illinois. When I used to work for Landstar, that's where the big terminal was, Landstar Terminal. In case somebody's interested in my fuel economy, driving just slightly above the speed limit. Well, is that average? Well, I think it shows average 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Oh, actually, yeah, I can see my instant mileage. It was like a dial with a green line pulsing, kind of like I think now it shows, yeah, like 9 liters. So not exactly a Toyota Honda Civic, but I'll take it. Okay, here's the junction. So if you stay in the left lanes, you end up on 294. If you go to the right 2 lanes, you're gonna be on I-80, heading towards Iowa. And of course, we don't want that, so we're staying left. So yeah, I booked the hotel in Alberta Lee for tonight, and then I managed to find a hotel near Badlands. That's my first stop, right? Badlands National Park. Like I tried the lodge. You know, they have one lodge right inside the Badlands. And of course it's all sold out. I went to their website, sold out for the next 2 or 3 weeks, you know, because now it's a popular time where it's still not too cold, right? And no snow.
Keep left at the fork to continue on I-294 north.
But then I went on Google Maps, I just went slightly north, and I see there's a town called Wall. You know, like Wall Street?
Continue on
Wall.
I-294 north for 42 kilometers.
So Wall, South Dakota And there's a bunch of hotels over there, you know, like Motel 6, you know, whatever, Days Inn, all kinds of hotels. And it's only like half an hour north from the park. And so I booked 2 nights in there. I think it was $90 US per night, which is okay for that, because you know it's a kind of like tourist attraction, right? The park. And then I can explore. I found out, you know, where you go, the best scenic routes, and they have this a road called Wildlife Loop, and it just goes like this. I think it's like 20 miles or so, and they say best to go there either around sunrise or sunset, you know. And so I should be there Saturday night at that hotel, and I'm not sure if I want to drive there when it's getting dark. I think I'll just regroup, take a shower. I gotta calibrate my lenses. Well, one thing I found is that they say that on a mirrorless, on my Z6 II, usually you don't need to calibrate them, like, because mirrorless cameras are much more accurate. But I'm using adapter, so I'm using my DSLR lenses, so I don't know. But I definitely need to calibrate the D850 with my main lens 500mm. And then I'm thinking, yeah, today's Friday, right? So tonight I'll be in Albert Lea. Saturday night I'll be in Badlands at the hotel. And then I'm thinking Sunday morning I'm gonna get up at 6 o'clock, and on the night before I'll do more research where to go, you know, like which road is best for viewing wildlife. And so Sunday morning, 6 o'clock, or whenever there's a sunrise, but I'm gonna leave like half an hour before sunrise, and just and I booked 2 nights, so Sunday, Monday. So I'm checking out Monday, but maybe I'll extend it, because I just discovered that the next park, stop number 2, Custer State Park, is like 40 miles away, 60 miles away. So you can explore both of these parks from the same base location, right? And then after that, sometime early next week, so Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll go to Yellowstone. And I didn't book the hotel yet because I wasn't sure how long I'm gonna be here in Badlands and Custer, but basically, yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. The plan is coming together. Look at that guy. The plan is coming together. I hope that the weather will be good. It's already getting chilly. Like in the morning it was only +8 Celsius. Now we are at +12. And my range is 547 clicks. So I'll have to find see, that's one difference, by the way. I noticed a bit of annoying difference between a truck and a car, right? When I drive my semi-truck, if I fill up both tanks, usually I don't have to fill up again until the next day or the day after that, right? But of course it's much more money, right? Two huge tanks. But I don't know why they put such small tanks on these cars, right? Like when I started, I think when I was fully filled up, I think my range was just above 600 kilometers, like 400 miles. So now it's 547. So if I don't drive too crazy, so and I turned off my sport mode I'm just cruising along. But still, you know, I need to do from morning it was 750 clicks to Albert Lee, right? But my range was 600, so no matter what, I cannot do 750 or even 800 kilometers or 500 miles on one tank. And so I wish when they sell you this car that there's an option, just like when you buy a semi-truck, right? You can tell them, hey, you know, let's say I'm in Canada, right? Quite often I go into US, and if I see cheap gas or cheap diesel, I want to be able to fill up, right? So I think my tank in this is, I think it's like 70 liters. What is it, like 20 gallons? Like the way people drive here, it's just... And that guy has no license plate. It's probably a dealer driving, but no dealer plate, like that SUV that just did this. But the speed limit here is 60. So 69 is okay. And what am I doing now? Hold on. 69. Yeah, I'm just staying with the flow. I don't want to be in that lane because there's cops sometimes here. But these people are nuts. Like when there was a 55 mile zone over there on I-80, everybody's driving like 75, 80. I was in the left lane. Right away there was a guy sitting on my bumper who wanted to, he was in a rush to get to the cemetery. I don't know, like wants to do 100 miles an hour in the 55. I get it. I had one speeding ticket in my life in New York for 15 over in a Challenger. So you gotta be careful, you gotta watch the signs. But I think quite often people have no idea what the speed limit is because they don't watch the signs, they don't care. And that's how they catch them. You know, sometimes there's a, when you go, let's say, not on the freeway, but let's say on a 2-lane road, and it says, let's say, I don't know, 60, right? And then you enter a small town, all of a sudden it becomes 35. So if you were driving 70 miles an hour or 75, and now you're in a 35 zone, that's how they get you, you know? Because, okay, they can ignore you if you're just doing 10-15 miles over, but at 30 miles over or 35, you know, you just cannon's fodder. So anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap up this blockbuster over here. So everything looks good, the traffic is moving, so I should be in, if I don't stop, this crazy Google map says I'll be in Albert Lee at 2:08 p.m. Yeah, right. No, it's 9:11. Okay, it's 8:11 here because I'm on Central Time now. But I definitely am not driving 7 hours without stopping, and I need fuel anyway. But that's what I was actually, because the car is so much more comfortable. That's what I was doing yesterday. I only stopped once between Buffalo and Roseland, Indiana, and I only stopped long enough to get fuel. And even then, I was at my hotel at 8 p.m. It was already dark. And so today, the plan is if I end up at Albert Lee when it's still daylight, which I should be, all right? Okay, let's say I'm not there at 2, but I should be there at 3. So then I'm gonna calibrate my lenses today because I need a tripod and I need good light. I couldn't do it yesterday. So basically gonna get ready for some wildlife photography. Anyway, thanks for watching. That was a quick update from Chicago, Illinois. On my way to Badlands National Park, Custer State Park, and Yellowstone National Park. Ciao.